Hello, 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 hello. How y'all doing? I know I look identical to last week. Calm down. I'm back to pre-recording videos. Thank you, Jesus. So I have 4 books of shadows. So what exactly is a Book of Shadows? Why do we have one? Do we need one? Are they called grimoires? Are they called journals? Are they called diaries? Do they start with your diary? Like, what the hell is a Book of Shadows? So, a Book of Shadows is a place where you store your spells and your rituals and your general understanding of magic. Now, a lot of people will use the Book of Shadows for journaling about their magical experiences, and then use a grimoire for storing their spells and their rituals and their step-by-step things. And however you want to do it is perfectly fine, but again, these are my opinions, my experiences, and just how I personally do things. So, how you do things is going to be different. What is a Book of Shadows to me? Keyword me. Book of Shadows is a place where I store all of my knowledge, all of my spells, all of my rituals, all of my understandings of Wicca, witchcraft, magic, potions, incense, potions. Bitch, please, this ain't Charmed. Teas, all of that jazz. Now, I'm the type of person who gets bored of my book after a while, and I just don't like the direction it's going. It's not that I don't like the way the content's laid out, it's that I don't like, and maybe I don't like the design on one page, and I'm just like, I don't want to rip this out. So I get bored of the book after a while. I'm like, I don't want to work on this book anymore. I'm gonna go do another one. And then I start collecting information across 3, 4, 5, 6 books. I think I have 15 books around my house, but I have 4 that I actively use. 2 of those books are smaller, and they contain incense and teas and some spells, and that's perfectly fine. They will remain as they are. So I've got all this information scattered across a few different books, and it's not repeated information. It's all different information. It's information on the different types of Wicca. It's information on what is the Wiccan read. It's information on how do you do rituals. It's information on how do you create spells, sigils, what is jar magic to me, how do I do jar magic, what is a witch's fire, what is cauldron magic, you know, like all that stuff. It's got spells in there for a circle for casting to call the dead. It's got recipes for offerings for the dead. It's just got all kinds of things. Yes, my feet are up here, and yes, I am comfy. If you don't like it, get the fuck off my channel. To me, a Book of Shadows is a place where you store your spells and your charms and your this and your that. What the fuck is my cat doing? Whiskers, what are you doing? You are being a funny beast. This cat of mine has problems. Sorry about that. Anyways. So, that is what a Book of Shadows is to me. Now, what goes into your Book of Shadows? Whatever the fuck you want to put in it. You know, like, have you ever watched those videos on YouTube where these people, they go on the internet and they find images, or they find, spells or whatever, or like the Wiccan read, or whatever it is, and they put that and they print it out and they paste it into their book. I personally would never do that. I write everything down in my book. Everything. Every last piece of information. Now, I don't copy it word for word verbatim, because that doesn't help anything. I read it, I understand it, and then I write down my interpretation of it. You know? This book, I don't have any children. I'm a fucking homosexual. I'm never gonna have any children. I would personally never, ever, ever copy something off the internet word for word into my book, or something out of a book word for word into my book, because that's just Why? Why not just rip the fucking page out and put it in your book then at that point? I would never go on the internet and be like, ooh, the phases of the moon, I'm just gonna hit print, control P, oh girl, I'm gonna slice, ooh, we're gonna paste that, ooh girl, it's in my book now. Because it's not personal. That's not a connection with your book. It's not a connection with your craft. You're just finding something that's really cool and putting it in your book. I mean, if you're gonna do that with like magazine cutouts, you know, or make your book your own. For sure, definitely make it your own. But in my opinion, that doesn't make your book, like when you're doing that with internet stuff, like when you're, a good example is like, let's say you find the Wick and Read, and you print it off the internet, and you put it in your book, and you're like, ooh, I got the Wick and Read in my book. No, you don't. You have what somebody wrote, put on the internet, and then you put it in your book. That's not personal. How about you try writing it down in your book? Ooh, girl, I got you there, don't I? That makes it more personal. You want to have a connection with your book. Now, I'm not saying don't do that because, you know, you do you, I do me. I'm just saying I would never do that, and those are my reasons why. Because it doesn't feel personal. I don't feel connected. And that's what I wanted to say on the concept of a book of shadows. Now, do you need a book of shadows? You don't need anything. I told you plenty of times in the past, you can just sit there and resonate the energy off your bones, put the intention to that energy and send it out. You don't need a book of shadows. What can you use for a book of shadows? You can use anything. Anything. Anything at all. You can write on the wall for all I care. That could be your book of shadows. This wall right here is my book of shadows. Although, if you are living in an apartment building, I suggest you don't do that because you, A, might look like a freak, and B, will not get your deposit back. Okay, don't do that. But you can use anything. You can use the 3-ring binder. I've seen plenty of people on the internet who use binders. Now, do I use a binder? Oh, honey, yes I do. And what's in my binder? Printouts from the internet. And you're like, honey, you just said.
Shut your mouth. And let me finish.
If I come across interesting articles online or, you know, interesting concepts, I'll print them out and I'll put them in a 3-ring binder. And, you know, that's not my book of shadows. My book of shadows is a handwritten, leather-bound book. It always has been, it always will be. I just gotta find the right leather book to connect with. But that's, to me, like, you know, you can use anything for a book of shadows. So, I use leather-bound books, and that just resonates with me. The feel of the texture resonates with me. It's usually just like getting the content into the book that never really works out for me. I don't know what it is with them. It's just like, it's like I'll get a quarter of the way through the book with all my information in it, and then I'll just be like, I'm bored of this book. I want to move on to a different book. Or I don't like the way the book opens, or I don't like the way the book feels after like a few days. You know when you're in the store and like this book calls to you, and then like a few days later you're just like, what the fuck was it calling to me for? This is a piece of shit. That's how some of my books feel. But yeah, you can use anything. You can use spiral notebooks, you can use Disney Princess Diaries, you can use the Bible. I don't suggest defacing the Bible, but again, you do you, I do me. You can use tissue paper, you can use whatever you want to use. You can use your arm! Take a knife and carve your spells. Again, I don't suggest you do this, but you see my point. Anything, anywhere, anytime can be your book of shadows. There are people on the internet who show off their book of shadows and they put very specific things into it, and I've seen a lot of the same concept, and that's fine. I wouldn't put some of those things in mine because they don't make any sense to me. There are people on the internet whose books of shadows have amazing art in them. Some of them have cutouts from the internet. Some of them have, you know, pictures from the internet. Now, if you want to put pictures and magazine cutouts in your book, you know, again, you can do whatever you want with it. It is your book of shadows. Your book of shadows should represent your craft. It should represent who you are, your spiritual journey. It should represent the things that are important to you pertaining to your craft. If you want to write poems and love songs and talk about your boyfriend who dumped you and how you wish his eyeballs would explode out of his head because his dick, then go ahead, it's your book. I know a lady who's not a Wiccan or a witch, and she's actually a Christian, And to keep people away from reading her personal journal, she calls it a book of shadows. Because it's got that ominous name to it, right? It makes you think, oh, you're a witch. Oh, the shit was spells. You know, your book of shadows is whatever you want it to be at any time, anywhere, any place. Okay, so let's review. Do you need a book of shadows? No. What can your book of shadows be? Anything. Anything, anywhere, anytime. Take some feces, smear it on a wall, there's your book of shadows. Does your book of shadows need to have very specific information, such as phases of the moon, Sabbats, Wiccan Read, this, that, or the other thing? No. Put whatever the fuck you want in your book of shadows. Do some people have those in their book of shadows? Yes, and that's perfectly fine. If you want that, you put it. You don't want it, don't put it. Can I find something on the internet, print it off, and put it in my book of shadows? You can do whatever you want with your book of shadows. It is your book of shadows. I personally would never do that because that doesn't feel personal to me. I want to have that personal connection with my book. When I'm writing in my book, when I'm writing down the spells, or when I'm writing down the information or whatever, I feel that personal connection. I feel that energy flowing through me. I feel connected with my book. So I hope this information has been useful to you. I hope you've enjoyed looking at me sitting like this because, girl, I am comfy as fuck. Yeah, okay. So please like, please subscribe, please comment. Always comment. You know what? Fuck commenting. Just hit the subscribe button, please. Thank you.